Great. So still inside of our for loop. In fact, just to be sure, I'm going to say end for loop like that. So still inside here, what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to go and fetch one face instance and then start pinpointing, let's say, the left eye, the right eye, the lips, the nose, and so forth. So how do we get one face? Well, we'll say Firebase, vision face, that's the type. It's going to be face. And how do I get just one face at this point? Well, remember our faces array list contains faces. I'm going to say faces vision or Firebase vision faces dot get past I, right? Because I'm still inside of our for loop. So get one face at a time. Okay, now that we have our face, I'm going to go ahead and say if face dot, look at this, I can go ahead and say get landmark. And landmark, again, this refers to the face. So it could be an eye, a nose, an ear, and so forth. What I want to get the left eye first. So I'm going to say Firebase vision landmark, right? That's the type we need to pass. We're going to get left eye. None of this we had to actually create ourselves. This all comes from Firebase Vision. If it's not null, so if it actually, or we are able to detect that left eye, we are going to create an object of that type. So I'm going to say Firebase landmark left eye, like this, is equal to face dot get landmark Firebase landmark dot left eye. Okay, so once we have that, we want to draw. Now we have our left eye. We draw a little circle. How do we do that? Canvas dot draw circle. To draw a circle, we have to pass a few parameters. Well, the first one is going to be the center X, then the center Y, then the radius, and of course the paint, the actual pencil that we're going to be able to draw. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and say left eye dot get position dot get X. That's for our center. And I'm going to say left eye again dot get position dot get Y. All right. And for our radius, I'm going to just say about 8F, right, of our circle. And I'm going to pass our landmark paint. Okay, now we're going to have issues here because get position could be null. I'm just going to assert it to make it never null like that. Okay, now the same thing we're going to do for our right eye, same thing we're going to do for our left eye, the same thing we're going to do for our eyebrows and so forth. So at this point here, all the code is going to be repetitive in many ways. We're just going to change either it's right eye or nose or bottom lip and so forth. So right there, outside of this if statement here, because here we're done with our left eye, we draw it and everything. Now we're going to do the right eye. In fact, it's going to be the same thing. I'm just going to copy this. Come down here. In fact, I don't need this, right? Because that is the one I can use everywhere. This is the object for each one, the face. So then now here, I'm going to say right eye. Look, we have right ear, right eye, right cheek, so many different landmarks on our face. So we not need right eye. And this has to be right eye. And there we go. So so it's going to be the same thing. Okay. And next we're going to get the base nose. I'm going to copy this. You see? I'm going to say change this to the base of the nose, so dot base or nose base like this. Let's change this to say nose. Of course, I'm going to change this to also say the same thing. We have to change other things as well. So this was left eye. This is now right eye. Okay, very good. That's the problem of copy and paste, is that we also have to transfer everything and it's easy to make a mistake. But at this point here, I won't bore you with all of this because it's going to be the same thing for every other landmark on our face here. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to code all of the face landmarks here so you don't have to watch me do the same thing over and over again. So last time you saw nose base, make sure everything is nose base. And then we add the left ear. Very good. We draw it, a circle around the left ear, and we do the same with the right ear. There we go. We do the same now with mouth. Now for mouth, it's a little bit different, right? Because we want to make sure that we have different parts of the mouth. So the mouth, we have mouth left, mouth bottom, and mouth right. So we're checking to make sure we have those. Again, all of these is coming from our Firebase Vision face landmark. Okay? And then we are creating those objects. So for left, bottom mouth, and right mouth, we're getting all of those. And then we are just drawing. That's all we're doing here. It looks like complicated, but really it's not. We're just drawing on top of we're just drawing things inside of we're just drawing things on our face. Now, the thing you notice here is that for our canvas here for the mouth, we're not drawing a circle, we're drawing a line. For a line, we need to know where exactly we're starting the X position, XY position, and how long it gets and so forth. So we're passing our get Y position, get X, and get Y. Okay, so we need all of those to draw a line. So we're doing the same here for bottom mouth as well. Once we're done pinpointing all the features in our face, we are going to call the face models array, right? Face detection model. I'm going to add objects. What object we're going to be adding? We're going to add the face detection models. So how do we do that? I'm going to say new face detection model. So I'm creating the actual model. I'm going to pass the I inside because we're still inside of our for loop there. And next I'm going to pass the text, remember? So the I is the index or the ID, and the text is going to be the probability. So at this point here, I can get the probability for each face, meaning I can say, okay, face 0 will have left eye. I can get probability of whether it's open or closed, whether the mouth is open, meaning they're smiling, whether their eyes are open, and so forth, right? So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and put a text, right? Because that's what needed. I'm going to say smiling probability, and I'm going to concatenate here plus, and I'm going to say face dot get smile probability. That's all. Now the reason why we get able to do this because our face, look at this, our face get landmark, it's this face that we created at the top here, right? Which comes from all the faces that we got from our Firebase Visions face. So now we can invoke it not only to get landmark and start drawing things on it, but we can now start getting the probability because the Firebase Vision API at this point was able to go and do all the scanning to see what is the probability that this person is smiling. So we created now our model. So our face detection model we created earlier, very simple, just the ID or the index, and then the probability. Okay. So at this point here, we added, so when we created this, we also added to our face detection models array list because that's what's needed to populate our recycle view. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say face detection models, then add new face detection model. This time I'm going to put I as well. And I'm going to say this one is going to be left eye open probability. Say plus face dot get left eye open probability. All right, I'm going to copy this because it's going to be pretty much the same. And this is going to be right eye probability, which means get right eye open probability. That's what it is. There we go. So now for each face that we went ahead and draw things to it, right? So the mouth, the eyes, the ears, and all that stuff, we can get the probability for each of the parts of the face. So we are looking to see if the person is smiling. So we get that probability, which is going to be something like 0.99, something like that, which multiplied by 100 will give us the percentage, right? Like that. So all of this is just the power of our Firebase Vision Model APIs. And that's it for our detect faces method. Go ahead and clear things up to make things good. the next one we need to work on is this override method, the process. So this is we're going to be processing the frame, meaning that when we have the photo and we use the analyzer, the face analyzer, we need to actually put the picture back. So this comes from, if you remember correctly, it comes from our processor. Let's see, our frame processor, which of course comes from our camera library that we're using. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on that. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to get our frame where the image is going to be. So I'm going to say int width. I'm going to say is equal to frame because we're passing the actual frame. I'm going to say get size dot get width. Very good. This should be width like this. Int height frame. Oops. Frame dot get size dot get height. Very good. So we have width and height of our frame where the picture is going to be. Next, I'm going to say Firebase metadata. So I'm going to get the Firebase vision image metadata. So the pieces of information for each of our vision image, right? I'm going to call this metadata is equal to new Firebase vision metadata such. And I'm going to invoke the builder, which means I can also invoke the set width to our width. We added upstairs, and set height to our height. Of course, we're not done yet. I'm going to go ahead and set format. I'm going to say Firebase that image format. There's different ones. I'm going to just use this NV21 format. I'm going to set rotation. So this will allow for us to be able, if we are actually using the front camera and its video, for instance, as you rotate, whatever we are doing, it's going to also follow our face. Okay. And of course, we're not going to be able to test this on the emulator, but I'm just going to put this code here so you have it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually create, say, camera facing. If that equals to facing front, then I'm going to just go ahead and use this advanced if statement here. I'm going to say Firebase metadata.rotation to 270. Else, we are going to say Firebase.rotation to 90. Okay, so we're going to rotate depending on which camera we are using. So if it's France, if we are having face front camera being used, then we're going to make the rotation to 270 of the image. Else, you're just going to keep it at 90 degrees. Okay, let's say dot build. Very good. Maybe restructure this better. There we go. All right, I'm going to finish that up like that. So in the next video, we're going to use this metadata that we have here so that we can create another Firebase vision. And then we're going to go and find the contours of each of features in our face. So we can go ahead and get, for instance, the left eyebrow and get the points and maybe draw things around that as well, which is going to be working if we are actually using the camera itself, right? The face front video camera. Okay, so let's do that in the next video.